Good morning to everybody here. I just wanted to do a quick video about grief. Um, Grief can come in many forms. Of course, you have the grief that people have when they lose someone to death, and that's a grief that it's such a permanent ending to something that people really have to go through the grief process. And if you've never studied the grief process, that is sometimes it deals with anger, it deals with resentfulness, just a lot of bargaining, depression. It's a grief process that if people don't get the necessary help and counseling and therapy, it could really cause them to stay in a really hard place a long time. But I want to also talk today about the grief that comes with estrangement or the ending of a relationship with someone that is still alive. Because that type of grief can be equally as hurtful, equally as painful as a death. And so you could be estranged or have to end a season with someone like a family member, a spouse, a sibling, a friend. It could just be a period of time where you all were in a space mentally, emotionally, where it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good for either of you, or it wasn't good for yourself. And something about that relationship made you say, I need to back away. But even in your backing away, even in your pulling away, knowing that that is better for you mentally, emotionally, and physically, sometimes there is still a grieving. And I know some of you, it is hard for you because you're like, why am I upset about something that I know I needed to do? Why am I still hurt or feeling in pain, or I can't really move forward in my head about something that I knew I needed to move away from? I knew it wasn't a relationship that I wanted or needed. It wasn't on the level that I wanted it to be. And either that person or yourself wasn't willing to grow while you were in the relationship. So now you have to learn to grow while you are apart. And this is the word I want to bring to you today, because a lot of times as we're in toxic or negative relationships, we've been crying out to God and praying, and God, can you fix this? God, can you help this? God, this is not good for me. God, my peace is disturbed. God, I'm not feeling good about this. Can you help me? And so then the relationship dissolves. Then you all get separated for whatever reason, whatever was allowed, whatever happened, you are separated, which is essentially an answer to your prayer. Because although you wanted the relationship to get better while you're in it, sometimes that's not possible due to the level of two people really dealing with some inner issues that need some real work. And so sometimes God has to separate you. He has to say, hey, both of y'all need to spend some time alone so that I can heal the both of you, make the both of you whole. And see, what we have to do is recognize that if the same God that's waking you up and talking to you every day and trying to fix you and make you whole and tell you some things about yourself and give you perspective so that you're a better person, that's the same God that has to be talking to them. Now, whether or not they receive it or not, or however long it takes them to do the necessary work, that a lot of times is going to determine if you all ever reconcile. Because you may reconcile if both people do the work and both people get with God and try to do, learn what they need to learn, get healed in the areas they need to get healed, which a lot of times mean going to counseling, going to therapy, getting really good advice, spending time in prayer. If they are doing that, then God may deem it possible that you all would come back together. But if they're not doing the work, you're not doing the work, you really can't really want to be back with that person, because whatever the issues were, if the work has been done and the healing hasn't been done, the issues will still be there. So I'm just reaching out and talking to somebody. This is something I had to learn for myself. Separation is God's answer to giving you peace. In a period of your life when you were in relationship with somebody, and I'm telling you, it could be anybody. It could be your parent, sibling, friend, spouse, I don't care. Anybody that you have loved for a period of your life. And then it got to a point where the love was doing more hurting. It didn't feel like love anymore. It was hurting. It was toxic. It was bad for your life. You had to separate. to gain your right mind and your peace. So don't take this period of time as loneliness, because you can feel very lonely, even if you have other people around you. If you don't have the people that you are used to loving, you're in a habit of loving. Your mind, body, soul, and spirit was used to talking to this person, whether it was negative or not. There is a grieving that happens when that is no longer the habit, when that is no longer something that's available to you. There is a grieving, but you must change your perspective and understand this is God granting you the peace that you really wanted, the peace that you did not have when they had access to you or you had access to them. Hopefully, in this season of estrangement or separation or this pulling away, that you are seeking and telling God, I do recognize there's peace. Lord, help me through the grieving process. If you feel those periods of anger, that's fine. If you feel those periods of depression, that's fine. Those are real things that happen when anything is broken away. But there does come a phase of acceptance where you say, God, this is your perfect will for my life and their life, that we don't be in relationship where it's tearing either of us apart, that we get healing. And so, God, I accept the peace that you've given me in this separation. I accept the work that you're doing in me, and I accept what I have learned in that process. Because there is always something to learn in every relationship, so that you don't take it to the next, or so that you don't allow that type of behavior or whatever was going on to go forward in your next relationship. So get your healing. Take whatever time of estrangement or separation or whatever you are in right now and get with God. If He leads you to, go get counseling. Grief is real and it must be dealt with. So this is just a word I wanted to share with you. I share whatever's going on my heart. A lot of times this is things I had to walk through myself or am walking through. And I know someone needed to hear that today. Have a wonderful day. This is Tara Body.